It's really important that these words are still spoken, not only Onondaga or Seneca, but all of our indigenous languages. And that's something that I've really noticed here in the communities in the Seneca Nation, is that there's been a real push to revitalize the language and the traditions and the culture, because it's what makes indigenous people or Ngwentaway a distinct people and who we are. So that's really important, and I think on the issue that we've all gathered here today, the nation is continually putting towards that effort to continue to lift these things up, so that our future generations, so that our kids and their kids can continue to hear the language and hear the songs. So at this time, we're going to share with you just a couple of these songs that come from the Haudenosaunee, and they're social dance songs. And these have survived and persevered through all the colonialism and colonization of our people, and the genocide as well, the cultural and physical genocide of our people. So it's something that we're really proud of, that we can still hear our languages spoken, and that we can also enjoy entertainment and song and dance the way that our ancestors did. So at this time, we're going to welcome everybody here. We're going to bring our dancers out. The dancers that we have here today all represent all of the Haudenosaunee, but all the dancers here do have ties to the Seneca Nation, working, families, community. So at this time, we're going to bring them out and we're going to share with you the welcome dance. This is going to just welcome everybody here. Give them a hand. That was the welcome dance. So as I said before, these songs and these dances that we're sharing with you today have been passed down from generation to generation. And it's really important in this day and age that we are present at things like this, that we are present and we are visible. For so long, indigenous people, native people, Ngwentaway from North America and across the world habitually become swept to the side, or not present in media or even representation throughout society. So we're really proud to be here today to share with you a little bit of our songs, a little bit of our dances. So at this time, we're going to speed up the pace a little bit. Each one of these songs and dances that we share with you today, we're just giving you a short little preview of these dances. But in our communities, these songs are still very much alive. And they're very important to our youth. This is how we get our youth involved. They have a really good time getting together for these social gatherings where we do these songs. So it is our tradition that this is where our children are raised, in the traditional setting, to instill in them the values that it's important and it's powerful to be Ngwentaway, who we are, regardless of what is told to us in the dominant society. That we as people have much to give and much to offer in our traditional teachings and who we are as Ngwentaway people. So at this time, we're going to share with you what we call Gayo Wagayo, which is the old moccasin dance. And there are a lot of different stories to this particular dance and how it come about. And that goes for quite a bit of our dances. So we do have an oral tradition of passing down our knowledge from the elder to the adults and down to the youth. So this old moccasin dance can be symbolized as a way to acknowledge the elders in our community, that as we're young and we're learning, that we have new moccasins on, and as we grow older, these, just like us, our moccasins will begin to wear. So when we dance this dance, we give thanks to our elders, the knowledge keepers, the most important in our community, for continuing to teach us the ways of their ancestors, of our ancestors, so that we can carry that into the future for the youth, and so that they can carry it even further than we have. So this is Gayo Gayo, the old moccasin dance. All right, give them a hand. That was the moccasin dance. So that was the moccasin dance. So we acknowledge our elders, and it is our tradition to do so, and to honor them as the knowledge keepers, and we care for them. Much like we care for the newborns. We believe that they're the, just as the youth, as the new children coming into the world, that they are the closest to the sky world. And as we look at what we have in our communities and the services that we provide for not only the youth but for also the elders, it's very important that those continue to happen in our communities. So at this time, I think that's going to conclude our short social dance program here. We will be coming back up to conclude this program with a couple more dances. But at this time, I believe we're going to get started. So, Dani Hodiyai, that is all for now. Yamas Pagwego.
If I could get the presidents up here on stage.
Next to each other, we can get out of here.
Yeah,
That's how they see that.
Be careful, sit down, don't fall off over here. You're good right here.
I'll hold on.
Yeah, I got you.
I got you. I got your back.
What a beautiful day the Creator has provided for us today. It was a little chilly this morning, but it's always nice when you walk out of the home and the crisp, cool air that we get to enjoy here. And and reminds us that each and every day is precious and that we should make the most of each and every day that we are here in this mortal world. And so I thank everybody for coming out today. It's an important issue that we're going to be talking about today, and really historic, I believe, because in my memory, I can't recall the time when former presidents have come together in unison in regards to an issue that our nation faces. So we're going to hear from 4 of our former presidents spanning close to 30 years of leadership at the Seneca Nation. And so I really look forward to hearing what they have to say, and then also they have a statement that they've agreed upon in unison to a position that they want to take. And so that's also going to be read today, and then for the media, that will be in your press kits that you've received, so you'll have that as well. First, I'd like to welcome everybody, all my fellow Senecas that are here today. We appreciate you coming out and supporting and being a part of this event today. And it's real important. And the way I look at it, and the way I look at this rally and this press conference and this event today, it's a people's event. Far too often in government, whether it's our own government or whether it's the governments outside like New York State or the United States, the people's voice sometimes is not heard. And so what I like to do is to be able to be a way that the people can speak and their voice be heard. And so we formed this website and this initiative called Western New York Faircompact.com, and it's Western New York for a Fair Compact, because of course us here at Seneca, this is our homeland, the 14 counties of Western New York. And of course, over these last several years, our neighbors that are here within Western New York, and we have to find ways when we can to work together to make sure that we have things happen in a good way for both of our communities, our native community as well as the non-native community. And so that's why we're here today to work together as friends and neighbors to let the governor and the legislature know that we are very concerned and that we want a fair gaming compact between the Seneca Nation and New York State for the benefit of the Seneca people as well as Western New York. So first I want to introduce some of the dignitaries that are going to be here today. I'd like to recognize from Senator Pat Gallivan's office, Eileen Hopkins, District 60. Eileen, stand up. Thanks for being here, and thank you for the senator having you be here today. We have Representative Allison Hunt, who's going to speak from New York State Senator George Borrello's office. Allison, she's right over here, for a round of applause. Adam Fogel, representative of New York State Senator Tim Kennedy. Adam, right here in the front. As well as former presidents up here on stage, Michael Schindler. He served as president in 1996 to 1998. Former Seneca Nation President Cyrus Schindler, service from 2000 to 2002. Former Seneca Nation President Maurice Mo John Sr. from 2006 to 2008, 2014, and 2016. And Seneca Nation President Robert Odawi Porter, 2010 to 2012. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm J.C. Seneca. I'll be your moderator for today. Thank you. I'd also like to thank our media team, Christina App. Give her a round of applause. Michael Belani, Mark Odion, and Erica Seneca Hasty. We also have shirts Erica made up, Western New York for a Fair Gaming Compact. Make sure you stop over and get one of those. And we got some signs too that Erica made up. Thanks, Erica, for all your work. Appreciate that. And also I'd like to recognize my wife, Nicole Seneca, and our children, Vera is with us, and Ezra. And from my family, also, Erica's a part of my family, but as well, my cousin Martin Seneca Jr. in the front here. All right, well, great. Well, again, thanks again, and as we're looking at what's going on right now, you can think about a time many years ago, if you go back 190 years, what was happening in this region in regards to the Seneca Nation, New York State, and the federal government. Of course, in a couple days, we're commemorating the Treaty of 1842, the Buffalo Creek Treaty. And back in those days, long ago, our land was illegally taken from us and returned to us under this 1842 treaty. And so you fast forward to 2022, 2023, and it's the same types of things are happening in regards to the New York State and the relations that are happening in regards to modern day with our nation. The illegally freezing of our bank accounts last year by the state, the taking of our money, the violation of the compact over 20 years, the many violations that New York State has done during that period of time. And now we have to negotiate a new compact with the state and with the governor. And we want to make sure that these types of situations do not occur again under a new compact. And so it's important that our people, our Seneca people, have a voice, know what's going on with the negotiations, and make sure that they have a voice in regards to what's going to happen over the next course of a new compact with the state. So those are some important things that we have to think about. But today also is, like again I said, historic, as the presidents have come together. I'm very thankful and grateful for them to come together and unite in a voice that's going to send a message not only to the state, but for our people to see, the Seneca people, that cooperation between our leadership and the using their experience, their knowledge and wisdom to help guide our nation forward. Even though they're not currently in office, but of course currently my colleague Maurice John sits on the tribal council as well as myself, and so we are involved. But again, achieving the level of being the president of the Seneca Nation, the leader of the nation, is so significant. And for them to be here today to speak, really is a great thing. And so I'd like to bring up the first President Michael Schindler.
Yahweh stand up for Fuego. My name is Mike Schindler. I served as Seneca Nation president from 1996 to 1998. I'd like to thank everybody for coming, and thank JC also for putting this together for us today. First of all, I'd like to say Konnichiwa. It's a nice day. And I would like to also say that it was a very difficult time during my administration for the people of the Seneca Nation, both internally and from New York State, in regards to the issues of Class 3 gaming and the attempt by New York State to force, and I mean literally force us through the police actions on our reservations and in the courts to become tax collectors on our sales of gasoline and cigarettes. I'm sure that most of you remember those days. I thought about going into more detail, but time is limited. The major issue to our Seneca Nation people is sovereignty, the authority of a state to govern itself, or a nation as in Seneca Nation. In the case of U.S. versus Kagama of 1886, the Supreme Court upheld the constitutionality of the Major Crimes Act of 1885 and that the U.S. has plenary power over us native people. Plenary power is defined as a complete and absolute power to take action on a particular issue with no limitations. We natives don't take to this at all. Noted author Vine Deloria Jr. says in his writings that this is an unusual position for a democracy to hold. So what is my point? Sovereignty reigns supreme to us Seneca people. Our ability to govern ourselves without unfair and unjust restrictions from the U.S. or New York State. The U.S. or the Seneca Nation is protecting our sovereignty by creating our own commerce, maintaining our own civil court system, establishing a traditional language and cultural school to assure we keep our Indianness, and support the elders and youths and everyone in between with the proceeds from our gaming facilities. So as you can see, our gaming facilities revenues are of utmost importance to us Senecas. They have definitely helped bring us from a nation dependent on government surplus and inadequate housing to a nation of a healthier, smarter, and more involved citizenry struggling in a world of limited justice. So I'm here to support our nation's executives and tribal council members in our negotiations with New York State regarding a fair and just gaming compact agreement. I believe that the Seneca Nation is standing on solid moral principles in defending our positions. And I ask the people of Western New York and the entire state to support us in our efforts to help ourselves and the surrounding communities that have benefited from our gaming enterprise. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Next, I'd like to bring up Seneca Nation President Cyrus Schindler, 2000 to 2002.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody, or good morning. I don't know, I lost track of time. But I had to cut my joke out because he said we don't have a lot of time. So I ain't gonna tell you guys no jokes. We'll get right to the course of the thing. Okay, I was president when the compact was signed. We negotiated that, and the people of the Seneca Nation, we took it to them. The people voted on the compact, and that's what we put forth. Exactly the way it was. You know, and let me say, dealing with the New York State, it was just like it is now when it started out back and forth, back and forth. Finally, myself and the governor got together, and we sat and talked. And I had respect for the governor, and he had respect for me. So then we went forward and we got stuff done. You know, but if you look at the Seneca Nation, they came in and they built a casino in 100 days. You know, and the benefit to Western New York and to the Seneca Nation. But we support Western New York. Any money that we make on our territories and the payroll and stuff all gets spent in New York State. So they can't say we're neglecting their taxes because it gets rolled back in there into the tax dollar. You know, and we've paid New York State a big sum of money since we've been open, 20 years now. And the Seneca Nation has grown from this. We put a lot of stuff, like Mike was saying, how we take care of our people and our territory. We take care of our elders. And we give a lot of benefits into our youth. You know, so I just running out of things to say now. But I never used to, but I'm getting old, you know. He told me, he says, you're outliving your body parts and everything. So I'm going to be around for a lot longer yet. Maybe I'll be around for the next compact too. I'll be out here speaking again. Thank you.
Thanks, Cyrus. Next, I'd like to invite up Maurice John, President 2006, 2008, 2014, 2016.
Now, JC, first of all, I'd like to take one moment of our lives and maybe we could think about our relatives who used to live here. It's like coming home. My grandmother's grandmother lived in Buffalo Creek, right where we're sitting and standing. We have a long history here. Our roots are here. Even though we've moved away, our hearts will always be here. So if you wouldn't mind, just a couple of seconds, I appreciate it. Yahweh. I'd like to recognize my brother out there. I recognize him because he's got our colors. Tim Cooper. That flag stands for unity. Our nations are unified. We've always been unified. Our people are unified. We're all hoping that we can exist in another generation. For 20 years, we've been working with a casino. We've been trying our best to maintain our culture, language. We hope that 20 years from now, like Cy said, we can be here and see the progress that we're making. I think all we're asking from New York State at this time is a chance to be remembered. The reason we're here today is because we still are existing as a nation. We had a great president, Barack Obama. He treated every native tribe as a nation. We were honored. We heard him speak. We talked to him on a level plane, one-to-one. If it's something that we're hoping to strive for in the future, we hope that our nation can strive to talk to the state level to level. We are not a county. We are not a city. We are a nation. We predate New York State. It's an honor and a privilege to be here with the former presidents. I'm thankful for the Creator. My prayers are that we can unify and send a message that we're here for peace. We pray for peace. It's my hope that we can work together for the rest of the time. Daneho, Yahweh.
Thanks, Mo. I'd like to bring up now Seneca Nation President Robert Adawi Porter, 2010-2012.
Now at JC, and thank you all for being here. Thank you for this opportunity to come together. I'm a recovering lawyer, so I have notes extensively to be able to share with you today, but I promise I won't take too long. I think it's important to acknowledge someone who's missing, who also had a very large role to play, and that was former President Barry Snyder Sr. I worked with him for 3 of his 5 terms as Chief Legal Counsel, and all of us had a role to play throughout our time in office, but he certainly was a central figure in the development of our gaming business and the way in which our people and our nation have evolved to the present day. I want to acknowledge his sister Maxine, who is here. A lot of people say out there in Indian country, how did the Senecas possibly get anything done? You have a president who goes back and forth between your territories. You have 16 council members. It must be really hard to get anything done. And I always say, when you have a good idea and you can lead your people, you can get things done. Sometimes it just takes a little time, and you have to work hard to be able to do that. And that's what all of the men standing here have done in their time in office, and I'm really honored to be here with them. We are here to talk about the compact, but the story is bigger than that. The compact is just the chapter that we are dealing with today in this ongoing conflict that we have with the state of New York. This has been going on for 400 years. Endless attacks. It's all about the taking our land, taking our resources, taking our people. In our history, we have been, perhaps like no other native people, affected by the actions of a state government. It was our land. This place where we are today was in ground zero of Western New York in its development, in American development. And we were in the way. So for us to be here today, standing in front of our own land, our own business, is a historic occasion because it is an act of resistance that we have been able to do that, to come back from what was an effort to exterminate us almost 200 years ago. I mentioned the taking of our children because it's literally true. And we are here in front of media and in front of non-natives who don't know that history, that our people were literally taken away and sent to the Thomas Indian School and other boarding schools where they were deliberately culturally whitewashed and abused. People say today that the Senecas have it good. You've got a casino. Well, guess what? There's a lot of our people who continue to have burdens, intergenerational burdens associated with what the state did to their grandparents, their great-grandparents, their great-great-grandparents. And those are the challenges that our leadership are confronting today in terms of moving forward to help our people, and why these resources that are generated by the gaming business are so important to the future of our nation. Unfortunately, the conclusion I've reached after both my time in office and in the years that I served as chief legal counsel is that we always have to fight for what's ours. This is not ancient history. The last 50 years, we've lost thousands of acres of land. The Ohio, my territory, the Allegheny Territory, for the Kinzua Reservoir, the New York State Thruway, the Southern Tier Expressway. These were coerced takings of our land, and our leaders did the best they could at the time with virtually no resources to do it. And yet, we are still living with that effort to take and take and take. Think about it. In 1995, Governor Pataki ordered the National Guard to develop a mobilization plan for the invasion of our nations for purposes of New York State tax collection. A governor was going to start an Indian war as of 1995 for purposes of achieving an economic war against Native peoples. That's not made up. That's a real thing. And it doesn't happen anywhere else in Indian country but here in New York. So there's something that's virulent, that's an affliction, that's associated with the way New York governors in particular and New York State officials in general approach our nation and other nations throughout the 6 nations of our homeland. I am honored to be standing in front of the Buffalo Creek Casino because I carried the bucket during the time in which we had that big rusting infrastructure from the recession and tried to turn that successfully into this wonderful business behind us. Nothing's easy for us. We're not complaining, but it is essential to our nature that we have to keep fighting. We have a lot of allies. The mayor has been a good ally for us in supporting the development of our business here. State representatives have been allies, like Senator Kennedy in particular, who has really been great in terms of moving forward and helping us develop these businesses. I don't mean to exclude anyone else because there are many, many others who have been allies of ours over the years because we've educated them and informed them about why this is important. But this is, and I want to thank JC once again, Western New Yorkers for a fair compact, because it is about Western New York. We have a common battle. We have a common goal to preserve and strengthen the economy of this region. And the Seneca Nation has done its part. Some of you may remember what it was like here 20 years ago. There was nothing down here. And I think that the hotels, the pagolas, their investment, I believe the Seneca Nation started that process of the redevelopment of this area, our historic Buffalo Creek territory. We'll never get the credit for it. It doesn't really matter. but I think it's something that warms my heart, and I know my colleagues when we see that our successes can achieve great benefit for our people. I could go on and on. I know you know I could, but I'm not. But I'm just thankful to be here. I'm thankful to do our part. I do have a letter that all of us worked on. Copies will be made available, but I just want to share that with you. It's tight, short, but I think it hits the point that all of us as former presidents feel about where we're at right now. As former presidents of the Seneca Nation of Indians, we know full well the tactics employed by New York officials to try and steal away Seneca land, treaty rights, and economic resources. During our time in office, each one of us confronted efforts by the state and its governors to threaten Seneca Nation interests. Unfortunately, we've been dealing with this threat for over 400 years. The Seneca Nation and the other 5 nations of the Haudenosaunee have been repeatedly targeted by New York officials to take away what is rightfully ours. In doing so, they have ignored our treaties with the United States and violated federal law intended to protect our interests. This happened over 200 years ago when most of our lands were lost, but has continued in recent years with the seizure of 10,000 acres of our of our Allegheny territory for the Kinzu Dam, and the taking of 300 acres of our Cattaraugus territory for the Thruway right-of-way, and the endless state attempts to assess taxes on our developing economy. The battle has continued with the fight over our casino gaming revenues. 20 years ago, we agreed to the current gaming compact with the state, thinking that a new chapter was being written based on cooperation, fairness, and mutual respect. Early on, that was the case. We secured our lands in Buffalo and Niagara Falls. We built our beautiful gaming facilities with zero economic assistance from the state. And we gladly employed over 4,000 Western New Yorkers and thousands more as vendors and contractors. But after 20 years of this relationship, we have seen the ugly side of the state's behavior. From the beginning, the state overbilled us for millions of dollars of regulatory costs. 15 years ago, the state put illegal gaming machines at the racetrack casinos in our exclusivity zone that cost us over $300 million. And 6 years ago, the state filed a bogus arbitration proceeding to extort another $800 million from us, despite no clear payment requirement in our compact. Just last year, Governor Hochul attacked our nation by freezing our bank accounts to cut off any further legal challenges to that bogus arbitration proceeding. Today, we stand 6 months away from the expiration of our gaming compact with no assurance that the Seneca people and thousands of Western New Yorkers will have any economic security in the future. We support the efforts of the current Seneca Nation officials to fight hard against these efforts to threaten the Seneca people and all of the people in local governments of Western New York. We ask that all Western New Yorkers stand together to ensure that the Seneca Nation, our employees, and our vendors get the benefit of a fair, lawful, and timely new compact with New York State. Signed, Dennis Bowen, Todd Gates, Maurice John, me, Cyrus Schindler, and Michael Schindler. Yahweh, thank you. And thank you, JC, again, for helping organize this.
Wow, Rob, that was 15 minutes. It was good. No, just kidding. Just thanks to the presidents for all your words and wisdom, and I really appreciate you being here. And you got a paper down there, you grab the mine. But I'd like to invite up Allison Hunt to say a few words on behalf of Senator George Borrello. Give her a round of applause.
Well, first of all, thank you, JC, for organizing this event. I want to say how truly humbling it is to be up here with so many presidents from the Seneca Nation. George is a Western New York native. He grew up here, he lives here in Sunset Bay, adjoining the Nation territory, and he knows how important the Seneca Nation is to Western New York. And we are hopeful that the governor will also realize, being a Western New York native, how important the Seneca Nation is to Western New York. They contribute so much to the counties that we represent. They contribute so much to the areas that we don't represent. And we have been fighting with them, and we'll continue to stand with them and try to be that voice to show you respect, show you the fairness that you are asking for in this contract. We have stood shoulder to shoulder with other elected officials. For instance, a couple of years ago, we were trying to get the thruway paved through the Seneca Nation territory, and the state was being a bully and wouldn't back down. Eventually, we stood shoulder to shoulder and pointed out to the public how atrocious it is, the behavior that New York State government has towards the Seneca Nation, and will continue to be that voice. We want the governor to come to the table. It's only the right thing to do. After years of history, years of compact negotiations, the fact that she isn't even willing to meet and follow through on the requests that have been made by President Armstrong. I understand she came here and met with other folks, but wasn't willing to meet with the nation. It's just so strange to me. So I'm here on behalf of Senator Borrello to call out the governor and ask her to come and sit down with the president of the Seneca Nation and those negotiating the contract, or the compact, and make sure that she hears their voices and gives them a fair shake at a fair deal that will benefit all of Western New York for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison, and give our best to Senator Borrello when you talk with him. I'd like to also invite up Adam Fogel, representative from New York State Senator Tim Kennedy's office. Adam?
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to say a few words here today on behalf of Senator Kennedy, who would be standing here if he wasn't in Albany today taking votes on the Senate floor. First, I want to acknowledge Councilor J.C. Seneca for organizing this event. Councilor Seneca has not only been a steadfast advocate for the nation, but he and his wife Nicole have been so generous in supporting our community and particularly helping the most vulnerable children in our community. So I just want to acknowledge you for your incredible work. I also want to thank all of the former presidents that are here today for being tireless leaders and advocates on behalf of the Seneca Nation for so many years. I'd like to give these unbelievable leaders another round of applause. And many of you may know this, but some may not. Senator Kennedy, he's the chairman of the Senate Subcommittee on State Native American Relations. He was appointed to this position by Senate Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins when the Democratic Conference assumed the majority in 2019. This subcommittee was created to build bridges between the state of New York and Native nations throughout our state. For generations, New York State and our national government has broken promises and has oppressed Native peoples. A lack of trust and decades of neglect has undermined what should have been a relationship built on mutual respect and understanding. This has resulted in disparities perpetuated by decades of generational trauma, disinvestment, and discrimination that these nations have faced. Senator Kennedy views his role as subcommittee chair as an opportunity to be a voice for Native nations within state government, especially when that voice has been silenced and ignored for far too long. One example of an action he's taken just yesterday, the Senate passed legislation that Senator Kennedy sponsors that would create an Office of Native American Affairs. If this bill becomes law, the state, for the first time in 200 years, would have a central entity within state government that elevates the voices of Native nations and ensures they have a central role in policymaking in New York State. This office would strengthen the relationship between New York and individual Native nations throughout the state, helping heal generations of distrust. Another way we can do that is by honoring the proud history of the Seneca people who actually built Western New York. That's why Senator Kennedy is passing a bill next week through the Transportation Committee that he chairs to officially name the Skyway the Fallen Skywalkers Memorial Bridge, recognizing the work of the ironworkers from Native nations who came from across New York State, who built the elevated section of Route 5, and memorializing those who lost their lives building it. Now, we stand here today because there's another opportunity for the state of New York to make good on its commitment to our Native neighbors, the approval of a fair compact with the Seneca Nation. Senator Kennedy stands firmly with the Seneca people and its leadership in calling for a compact that continues to provide the Seneca Nation with exclusivity within Western New York. His expectation is that the administration and the nation will quickly come to terms that are fair for both the state and the Senecas. New York State not only has a responsibility, but it has a legal obligation under federal law to come to the table and to negotiate in good faith. Senator Kennedy is committed to making sure that this administration and future state administrations treat the Seneca Nation with the respect and the dignity that they deserve. The Seneca Nation's compact with the state of New York and the continuation of its exclusivity zone is the bedrock and the foundation of its relationship. And without it, we would move backwards towards an uncertain future that none of us want to imagine. I'm here today on behalf of Senator Kennedy, calling for a fair compact that allows the Seneca Nation, which is an economic engine of our community and one of the largest job creators in our region, to continue to operate as it has for decades. I again want to commend Councilor J.C. Seneca, all of the former presidents here behind me today, and all of the distinguished and honorable leaders of the Seneca Nation for your continued leadership and for your continued commitment to the people of Western New York. Thank you.
All right, I want to thank all of our speakers today. They had some great words. And so let's do it, Western New York. Now is your opportunity for your voice to be heard. Seneca people, Western New Yorkers alike, go out to the website, Western New York, WNYFairCompact.com. In conjunction with Stand with Seneca initiative, there's a petition there and a letter that will go directly to the legislature and to the governor's office. Tell your friends, tell your families to join in and send this message on behalf of the people of the Seneca Nation and the people of Western New York. I want to thank everybody for being here today, all the speakers, everybody that traveled to get here today to be a part of this program, and my good cousin Martin Seneca. Would you like to say something, Martin? Yes. All right. Careful walking up here. And while Martin's getting up here, again, we have t-shirts and signs over here that you'd like to take. And for the media, the presidents will be available for if you want to talk with them after this, after they get off stage. And we're also going to bring Get New back up with a song and a couple dances here, just following Martin's comments. Martin Seneca Jr.
For all of those out there, for the news cameras, this is my personal view of what's going on. In the original compact, we negotiated for an exclusivity area, which is basically Western New York. The exclusivity area basically said there can't be any other casinos in that area, and for a particular kind of slot machine. And we are paid to the state 25% of the slot drop in those machines, but yet they have Hamburg, Raceway, and Batavia that are everything as close to a casino as you can get, that begin and impacting on our revenue and our stream. As been said today, our casino operations in Western New York are a major employer and a major business enterprise. We have paid the state billions of dollars in terms of the exclusivity area and all of that we have presently. My view in this negotiation is to tell the state, because they're trying to negotiate hard with the exclusivity and maintain a 25% take from us as a casino operation,
to take their exclusivity area and stick it where the sun doesn't shine. We don't need it. Just think of the millions of dollars that we're giving to the state for that. And even if they put casinos in our area, we could still make considerable amounts of money without it. So I see, and my personal view is, that we don't need that exclusivity area. And they can tell that that's the only hammer that the state has got over us right now. And if we take that away, then there's no longer a major issue that they can bring down on us, because the governor and the state right now are being immovable on that exclusivity issue. They're not concerned about the fact that we're one of the largest employers in this area. They don't take into consideration the economic impact that we have for supply chains that we need for our casinos. All they're looking for, and what the governor is doing, is creating a situation that doesn't need to be. It's not supportive of us. It's not helping us keep our casinos going. They want to continue to bleed what they can out of us with regard to the money that the state gets. The state budget is probably about $160 billion in that neighborhood. What they take from us is chicken feed with regard to what the state needs. But it is critical to the programs and to the survival and to the education of our people, and all of the programs that we have on the reservation as a result of the revenues received from our gaming activity. So I'm emphasizing, this is my personal opinion, that we ought to get rid of the exclusivity area and negotiate straight from a position of strength with New York State. If we take that away from them, we are in the strongest position to negotiate a fair compact. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. All right, good, no? Come on back up. All right.
All right, at this time, we're finishing up our program here. First off, I'd like to thank the opportunity to be here, to represent the traditional community, the singers, the dancers, the knowledge keepers, and all the leadership that's up here today, and all the words that have been spoken are they speak for all of us. Our leaders from the beginning have always had the tough decisions of deciding what's best for our people. And as we move forward here, all the decisions that we're making, whether you're a leader or not, whether you're just a person in your community, we're all a leader in some way. So we're all making decisions for the future betterment of our children and their children. So that's why I'm honored to be here today to share with you some of the language and some of the songs, because that's who we are. Those are the traditions and the customs that we carry. And as they said that, I'm honored to be able to work and to learn the language because of programming like this, and my family and my friends as well. So it's an important thing here as we move forward, that we can continue to grow as Ngwentaway, as Haudenosaunee. So at this time, we're going to share with you just one more dance. We're going to share with you smoke dance. So this is a competition style. So I'm going to give them two songs. It's a really entertaining dance. And we're just going to do this dance in hopes that there's a good outcome, as we move forward. Because as you look at Indian country, we shouldn't be seeing each other as different nations or different people. One win in Indian country for another tribe is a win for all of us. And as we're looking at these communities that are across the country, working with state and federal governments, we need to work together. We need to stand together, and we need allies as well. We need everybody in the communities around us to stand with us, not because we're asking, but because it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. So this is what we call the smoke dance. We're going to bring our dancers out. he, hawi, hawi, oh, he,